Hi, welcome back to the breadboard. I have a little bit of a break in the weather right now where I live, so it's still sitting above zero. So what I decided to do quickly was the upgrade to my CNC router frame from the 80/20 and 60/20 frame that I'm currently using with the small brackets and things up to the Rover 80/40 with the big nice Rover plates for the corners and the rails and everything that SMB Solutions provided to me for an upgrade for my CNC. So I'm going to be doing a little bit in the garage in a moment, but what I thought I would do first is assemble the new Rover X Gantry plates and things and the Z-axis part indoors so that I can show you exactly what's involved in a few close-ups of things. And it's also obviously a little bit warm in here. So let's just get to that right off the bat, and then we'll go outside and we will look at part of the disassembly and things as well. Now, some of these things may come a little bit out of order because I had to take some parts off the CNC outside, which I videoed, so that I can show you the differences between them. For instance, removing the Z-axis from the Rover, from my existing frame before I put the Rover plates on, which would replace some of these parts, and the new 3D printed router mount that I created. So anyway, I wanted to show a few close-ups of some of the parts that I have and how you need to put them together before I actually go back outside and start putting them back onto the router. So let's just get this part out of the way first, and then we'll go back to the outside part. So the first thing we will do with the upgrade while the weather's warm, I've only got a day or so of this, that's all, is I'll take the parts off the CNC router outside that I need to do some upgrades to. While I'm out there, I will also change the Y rails from the 80/20s to the 80/40s and put the Rover Feet onto the frame. The main frame is also a standard kit that you can get from SMB Solutions. So what we need to do first is go out into the garage and take the parts off of the Rover that I'm going to be doing the upgrade in here, which is the Z-axis and the X-axis gantry. We will also, while we're in the garage, upgrade the four corners of the frame to the red Rover OX plates from SMB Solutions and replace the Y gantry rails with the 80/40s instead of having the 80/20s, and also put the cross braces on across the front and back of the frame, which are going to be 40/20s to hold the Y axis in its place and keep it all rigid and everything else. And one of the things you'll see is that we'll use the feet turned in versus turned out so that they fit on my table easily. Now, that will have no real bearing if you're staying with using belts and things, but it will have a bearing if you're going to be using either the ball screws or Acme screws for driving your Y-axis. Anyway, you'll see that when we get to it. So the first thing we're going to do is pop outside, do those upgrades to the frame, and also bring in the Z-axis. So we're out here in the garage, and as you can see, I'm looking at one of the Rover plates, the new ones that I've got from SMB Solutions, and you can see I've got it standing next to my existing plate here. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, show you the difference by holding this up next to the other one for the same height. You can see it's considerably higher, and also with the extra wheels that are on here, it's going to be much more stable in this kind of direction from wobbling, because we're going to have double the thickness of extrusion on here, and as you can see, twice as many wheels. Motor mount's pretty much the same, and the top plates are still with the 60/40Y, which is the two 60/20 side by side, and then the 40/20 over on this other side here. So these plates, I'm going to put them on now with the new Y gantry extrusion. So I'm going to take these 80/20s and 60/20s off and replace it with the new Rover frame that I have here. One of the things to note, of course, is the 2.5 inches higher gantry height we're going to have here, which will affect the ability for the Z axis, which is this one, to reach further down. But as you can see, that's not a problem because we had more than enough height anyway, and by having this extra little bit of 2.5 inches, the job can reach much deeper down, so you could do a lot more profiling if you wanted to. But also I was planning on putting a box section on here to raise up the cutting surface, so that I could put an array of mounting bolts and things like that, and like the insert nuts and things on it, as well as maybe a vacuum table or something else. So all in all, having that extra 2.5 inches here is actually not a bad thing, because it gives me more ability to get more dynamic range in the cutting and things like that. Now, one of the later upgrades we're going to do, I'm actually going to replace this X gantry as well right now with the Rover X plates, because it allows me to have 4 wheels on either side here instead of just the 3. So you get the extra one about here, which gives you a little more stability with the, any twist that might be happening in here as well. So that's all going to be a good thing. Everything else is going to be pretty much the same. The one thing I will lose, when these little the new plates come higher up, the spacers to the top, I'm going to lose access to one of these holes, which on this side I'm currently using to hold the bracket for this sensor right here for the limit switches. So what I will do is I will take this, it's got a M5 clearance hole, and maybe mount it onto the top wheel hole as well, so it'll just rotate it around a little bit, but that should work just fine. And then that leaves us the clearance for these spacers, for the 4-hole spacers, to be in place there as well. And the other thing we're going to have once we put the new plates on is the new printed Bosch mount plate that I've now got one printed. So instead of using 2 slightly modified 20mm thick mounting brackets, I'm going to have one that's completely 40mm thick, made out of one piece of printed material, and it's got 2 very, very deep M5 screws in it. It's a little bit thicker than this as well, and I've already got the clearance nicely milled, shaped into the ends of this to avoid any screws that would be here as well. So all in all, it's going to be a much, much better fit. And also the other thing with it too is I can screw directly into the gantry here, the Z plate extrusion, without any issues too. I can either choose to mount it the way it's currently mounted or straight through. So I think I might try the straight through to start with to see how well that works. Anyway, so back to these Y plates for a second. I'm going to replace both the N Y plates because my Z plates currently still only support a 60/40 gantry. I'm going to leave these plates in situ. I'm going to replace the X plates though, but leave the X rails in place. Have 4 wheels on this axis, so that means a few things get rearranged a little bit. One of the tricks that I need to remember when I'm assembling this is to make sure I get all my T-nuts back in, because that's always a pain in the ass when you're reassembling, when you've replaced things, to get your T-nuts in so you don't have to take it apart and put them back in again. So as you can see here on the Y-axis, I've got 2 T-nuts on this top rail in support of the Y limit switch sensor when it comes over. So I've got one at the front and I've got one at the back over there. There's nothing in the end here that I need to worry about on the outside. There's going to be a new extrusion that's going to come across here as well. And I haven't figured out yet how I'm going to do this bottom piece. So I'll worry about that afterwards, even if it does mean I have to take things apart a little bit. I will drop some T-nuts into this new front rail when I put it in. It's going to be a 40 by 20, not a 60 by 20, and it's also going to be raised up off of the bed. So now we've had a look at that, let's compare the new Y plate with this old one and the old bracket. We'll have a look at the difference there. So just one second. So here I put the 2 side by side. This is the old 80/20 that is sitting on top of the 60/20 with this titchy little bracket. The new gantry plate is going to be this one, which is let me just move the other side of it. There's this one, which is the 80/40 C-section. See, it's got the groove in here, and with the new big Rover foot. Now what I'm going to do with these Rover feet, because I think what's going to happen is, if you look at how much this sticks out here, at the other side, over here, it is already right on the very edge. So I would have the choice of either making the gantry narrower, which I don't really want to do, or if I rotate this foot so that it actually points in over instead of out over for this piece here, so it comes in and down, then it will still be able to be on the table without an issue. So I can actually do that, and I've done it on the other end right now. So let me just flip this around to show you the difference. There's the plate screwed on with the C channel with the other way around, and what's going to happen is we're going to have the 40-20 go in here and secure itself into this gap. So that's what we're just going to work on right now. I need to take apart the old 80-20 gantry, take the gantry plates off. We're still going to need the, obviously, the x-axis and everything, although we are going to take the center gantry plates, the X gantry plates off, and replace it with the new Rover ones as well. But right now we're going to take this apart and we're going to assemble this new one in its place using the 80-40 extrusions instead of the 80-20 extrusions as well. So I need to clear away some of the old stuff first and disconnect some of the electronics so that I can get that. You can see now that I've got the two gantry plates side by side. You can see the considerable difference between the two. The Rover OX one on the right is far more substantial, as you can see. As I said already, twice the number of wheels, etc., but taller, and with the X frame on the inside far more stable than the standard OX, which is on the left here. Anyway, going to keep replacing. Going to put the stepper motor back on the OX now. The trick with the stepper motor with these, though, is because these slots are quite low, you actually have to pull the stepper motor up and tighten it before you put it onto the gantry, because it's a lot harder to get in once the rails are in place and try and adjust it. So what you do is you pull it to the very top, and then you use the belts that will be on the top of the rail here to tension it by pulling it at the ends and pulling it tight there instead of by adjusting this. Okay, so we've got the corner brackets on, we've got the extrusion set up. We had to trim these down by about 60 millimeters just to make them fit with the gantry that I have. I didn't want to have to cut that down any further, and it's still already the width of the bench anyway, so I haven't lost anything in my cutting width at all. As you can see, the feet on curving in over works out quite nicely, and depending on how you want to do your ball screws, if you ever upgrade to them, you can have them running on the inside, and you can suspend a bed, cutting bed from here if your bench is lower and things, and that's what you want to do, so that you have your ball screws underneath the cutting table. If you want to have the full depth, of course, then you can't have these on the inside, and you just flip these plates around and have them coming out instead, and then your ball screws can be going on the outside. So either is a viable option for this. One of the other things you can do on this, of course, is I've got 40-20s in here, and as you can see, they go right into the corners there, tucks right inside the C-section, which makes a very, very tight and nice fit. But if you wanted to, and you wanted to have 80-20s on the end here as well, the hole patterns on these feet are already there. So I'm just using the set on the middle for screwing this 40-20 in, but I can easily add an 80-20 along here. So you've got your 80-20 going that way, or your 80-40 should I say, and then you could have an 80-20 or another 80-40 coming across here to add a lot of rigidity in this direction as well. Just purely a choice in assembly. And then of course you've got your spot for your Nema 24 or your Nema 34 motors to mount in here, depending on which hole set you take. And you can also mount your motors on a 45 if you want, if that's the way that you want to have your motor running. And the recesses are set for the standard spaces that you would need. a little bit like these that I've got on here. They would just go into these holes, and that would space your motor off, so you have your coupling, and then you have your thrust bearings here with your ball screw and everything else going through. So that's pretty good. Anyway, I've got everything wired, not wired, but everything mechanically put back together. I'm just going to take this plate off, this gantry off, just the rail, because I want to replace this with the Rover X plate as well. So I've just got to take the stepper motor off and the sensor at the back here, and then I can just slide this right off the back. I'll also need to disconnect the cable track on the back as well, and then we'll be pretty much, once we've got that back on, we'll be pretty much done. I haven't really had to change anything on this gantry, but of course once I put the plates on, then that's going to change things a little bit. Well, cosmetically anyway, not mechanically. Mechanically I will have extra wheels on the vertical here, and that's all that's going to change. And when this comes back, it'll also have the new motor mount for this. And then after that, what we're going to look at is designing a gantry plate that will actually allow me to use a 80 by 40 C-section here, which would make it another 20 millimeters wide and also a little bit deeper, so that you could have a much more solid gantry. Because obviously, you know, all of this, if I push down on here, I don't know if you can see it, but I'm pushing quite hard, but there is still a little bit of twist. I haven't finished bolting everything up tight, but that's just the gantry itself. And what I want to ultimately do is change this gantry to an 80-40, and the existing gantry plates here, I just need to drill an extra hole on the bottom. Actually, I don't even have to drill a hole really. I could just mount this and it would still work just fine. But it's the these X plates that need to be modified, because obviously this is only set for 60 wide. There's not enough metal here for me to drill an extra hole to get these wheels and everything else 20 millimeters higher, which is what they would need to be. So anyway, that's going to be another job. Anyway, I'm just going to take that off, and I'll come back to you when I've got the new Rover X plate installed.